What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review, here to give you my thoughts on the new Hulu original movie, Mike and Nick and Nick and Alice. Terrible title. Like, I had to double check it a couple times to make sure that I was going to say it correctly for this video. Mike and Nick and Alice. So this is a gangster movie with a time travel twist. So this stars Vince Vaughn and James James Marsden, Cyclops, and they are both involved in a crime family. I don't think they ever use the word mafia, but they're involved in a crime family, and James Marsden's character wants to get out, and Vince Vaughn's character is friends with him, and he wants to help him. But at some point, Vince Vaughn's character decides on self-preservation, so he betrays his friend, which gets his friend killed by the mafia or the mob or the crime family, whatever you want to call it. Vince Vaughn doesn't like this. He's able to find a time machine, which was built by the voice of Sonic, which I think he was only in that one scene, if I remember correctly. He was played by the voice of Sonic, and then Vince Vaughn travels back in time to stop these events from happening. So future Vince Vaughn teams up with past Vince Vaughn to save present James Marsden from getting killed by the crime family. That's it. That's the movie. There's a couple laughs to be had here. There's some decent action to be had here. This is very forgettable. Very forgettable. The premise is much more memorable than the movie is. Let's make that very clear right off the top of our head. The premise is so much more memorable than the movie is, because the movie is relatively forgettable. It's relatively by the numbers. Yes, it's got the time travel angle in a gangster movie, which to be fair, I don't think we've ever seen that. But like I said, the premise is more interesting than what we got. But there were some laughs. There was some decent action. There was a fun action sequence near the end where Vince Vaughn and Vince Vaughn team up to go take down all their enemies, and they go into this house like Rambo and like a couple Rambos, and I don't know how well Vince Vaughn sold that scene, but I have to be honest when I say I had fun with that scene. And there was a couple other action scenes that were similar where I'm like, I don't know how much I buy this, but I'm having fun with it. A couple of them had some needle drops with the action sequence that I laughed. I had fun with it. So this is very much one of those turn your brain off and enjoy it type movies. There's nothing groundbreaking here. Even the premise itself that's unique, they don't do anything special with the premise. There's some superficial fun to be had here, and that's about it. This is not a movie that I would have wanted to pay to see. And this is a streaming movie. This is what a streaming movie is. Oftentimes, movies go direct to streaming, and I'm like, man, I would like to have seen that in the theaters. That's probably most movies that I spend time watching. I'm like, they should have put that in theaters, because I am such a big fan of the theatrical experience. I want movies to go to theaters. And then something like Mike and Nick and Alice come along, and I'm like, that was made for streaming. That should not have gone to theaters. That was made for streaming. I don't feel guilty watching that on Hulu, because I already have a Hulu subscription and it didn't cost me anything extra. If I had gone to the theater to watch that, paid the money for the tickets, paid the money for the concessions, yeah, my experience would have been different. My review would be resoundingly negative. But because it was on Hulu, I can give it a positive review and say the good outweighed the bad, because the bad also didn't come with the bad of having to pay for it and take time out of my day to travel to see it. So yeah, some fun stuff here, but very forgettable. And this is a one watch. This is not something I'm going to rewatch. I love watching Vince Vaughn. He's still very funny, very charismatic. Don't know how well he sells action sequences, but yeah, this is a one and done for me. but I'm glad I watched it on Hulu. All right, guys, what do you think of Mike and Nick and Nick and Alice? Let me know in the comments down below what you thought. While you're down there commenting, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.